the world is in great trouble. I mean, much of the human population is in, and we are struggling because the world is not crazy. It seems crazy, but it's not. Unfortunately, what appears to be crazy is just well-designed population reduction and population control. And the population, who are being managed and genocided, I mean, we need to think better. And so that's this process never stops. We have to always, just resist the technological slavery that they have in mind. I was just going to give an example. I wrote, it's not in Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, but I wrote an analysis of The Tempest, just Shakespeare's apocalyptic Brave New World. And this is a really important play, and it's an important piece of analysis because it explains the expression Brave New World, which is used by Huxley,
right,
by Rudyard Kipling. And I'm afraid that once you see, the analysis that I do, that you'll recognize that Huxley's use of the expression and Kipling's as well, it's not, basically it is not benign. I mean, Huxley fully knew what the expression meant in the Shakespearean play. The point is that the oligarchs, they understand their sense of humor, but we on the outside, we don't get it, but they do. And so this little analysis I do of The Tempest shows that, the expression Brave New World is not, it is not benign. I mean, it is literally a slave state. And so when you see someone as wired into the oligarchs as Huxley use the expression in this way in the book, I mean, he's not warning us about anything. And then I would just point out with Huxley, he is kind of, the book is sometimes seen as, though I don't know why, because if you read it, you can see that there's no kind of moral condemnation of the oligarchs. It's just almost like a documentary. It's very objective.
Right.
But anyway, the point is that Huxley in interviews has said he was really worried about the government gaining a technical control over the mind of man. He talks in like Mike Wallace, it's on YouTube. You can see how he's very worried. And, he said that Brave New World, I'm hoping people will see this. He's lying. And he's lying because the project MKULTRA, which was, the CIA's study of the human brain for the direct purpose of creating control over humanity, that this project, one of the people involved in it was Aldous Huxley. I mean, there's an actual letter, who discovered, I think it was John Marks found the letter, where Huxley was actually directing one of the MKUltra doctors, Jolly West, to give LSD to humans, and then then try to give suggestions to them during the LSD experience and to see if they had been more suggestible, because then later on to test them again and see if they would basically follow the instructions they were given when they were on the drug. So Huxley, he wasn't trying to warn anybody about anything.
No.
He was involved in the creation of the technology to create a genetically stratified slave state. And let me just tell you something, how worried I am about all this.
Please do.
You see all of this concern supposedly about autism. I say and maintain that autism is not being stopped or slowed down or even studied by the government because it's the beginning of the genetically stratified slave state.
Wow, what a statement, Joseph Atwill.
There's a guy named Peter Hotez. He's, in my opinion, a Brave New World doctor. He wrote a book called Vaccines Did Not Cause My Daughter's Autism. His daughter is a victim of autism. And then he goes on to say it's probably a genetic disorder, that genes. But you see, this is sophistry to demonstrate because there was no autism before 1935. I mean, the term was invented by Leo Kanner, I believe his name was, and he wrote a paper. It's available. And he says, that this was the first cases of this condition. And I actually spent some time looking at high school documents going back like 100 years to verify this, that there was no example of this particular kind of a neurologic disorder ever seen anywhere before 39, which was 10 years after, the onset of mass vaccinations. And so
wow,
the fact is that Hotez knows this, obviously, and is trying to distract the people away from understanding it's an environmental disorder, right? With this nonsense that it's genetic, because we don't create a genetic disorder that affects 1 in 40, children, suddenly gets into our gene pool from 1940 to the present time. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So it's not genetic. It is environmental. It is certainly related to, I have no idea if it's the only causal element. I think probably there's many, which is one of the reasons why it's so hard to really understand the cause of it. But this is an example of how alert the public has to be, because
So well stated.
they are really, interested in creating a genetically stratified population, because that would be the ultimate, lockdown control. When you're too dumb to do anything but follow orders, this is your perfect slave. So
Yes.
this is what I'm afraid is happening right now. There's kind of a slow motion process whereby through toxicity and injections, you end up with very reduced IQs in the vast majority of the people. And so now the oligarchs are just as the controllers were in Brave New World, in Huxley's book. They don't have any trouble. They don't have to worry about rebellion. Rebellion is it's not something that's possible. So
Yeah, the only thing people rebel against is someone trying to free them from the stratification.
yeah, right. And of course, if you express negativity, there's drugs to solve that.
Oh, absolutely.
So with dumbed down populations and with intellectual intimidation against complaining, which is basically always, results in drug taking. What chance does the population have to rebel? Well, almost none, of course. So this is in my honest opinion, is that we really have to be very, very careful about our health at this point, because, the thing that is the hardest thing to understand that comes up from Caesar Messiah is that it isn't just that we don't understand the religious structure. We don't understand our rulers. This is the truth. This is what it really reveals, is that, we see Hillary or Donald, but we don't really understand them as humans. We understand what the media presents to us about them. We see the drama, the struggle, but one thing I've been saying for so long now is that we absolutely have to get DNA tests of every political or media powerful individual.
Good idea.
We have to understand who they're related to, what the family relationships are, what the ethnic backgrounds are. We absolutely have to have that, because without that, we just don't know who we're voting for.
What a great point. What a great point.